Hi, this is a webinar on how to create a custom report card using the Custom Reports tool in the ThinkWave system. A custom report can be complex since there's many ways that you can customize it, but a completely custom report is worth the work. In this video and another video we have for creating custom transcripts, we'll walk you through how to create a custom report so that you have all the tools that you need to create your own. First, we'll go to the Reports tab, and under Custom Reports, click Add Report. From here, you can create a report from one of these templates, but we're going to create a custom report from scratch, so click Create New Report. Here you have the name. We'll name it Report Card Demo. And here you select if you want it to be one student per page or a multi-student report. Since this is a report card, you'll want to select one student per page. And here you can select the format from Portrait, Landscape, Portrait A4, or Landscape A4. We're going to select Portrait and select Save. There are two main tools for customizing the report. The first is the Layout Designer that we're in now. This is how the report will be displayed. The second is the Widget Designer, and this is the content in the report. We'll get to that in a second. You can access both the Layout Designer and the Widget Designer by hovering here. Here in the layout, the report is separated into 12 visual segments, both horizontal and vertical. That means you can have the segments arranged in any order you want as long as they add up to 12. This will make more sense as we create the report. For the report, we'll have it display as one continuous flow of information, like a scroll. The custom transcript webinar will be going into how to construct the report in segments. So here, for the first row, we'll have it take up a full 12/12ths of the page. And we'll do the same for the cell. Now the default has two cells split into 6. To delete the second cell, select 0. It will ask you to confirm if you'd like to delete it. Now you'll notice the other cell turned red. That's because you have to make sure the cell adds up to 12. So select 12 for the cell. Now to ensure there's a safe margin for printing, you might want to add some space to the top, bottom, right, and left. We'll add 5 to each side. You also have the option of adding a line border to the whole page. The right, bottom left, or display it as a grid. This will make more sense if you have multiple segments, like we'll cover in the transcript report. Then click Save. Here you will select which widget goes on the page, but since we don't have any widgets built yet, we'll put a blank cell in there for now. Now let's create our first widget. Hover here and select the Widget Designer. Here we have the name. For this we'll call it Report Title. And here we select what type of widget you want to create. You have a choice between a table, text, image, column, row, term cycler, class cycler, period cycler, students in group / class cycler, skill cycler, assignment cycler, assignment type cycler, and distributor. Each widget has its own use, and we'll go over most of the widgets in this webinar. But to start, we'll create a table. This is the basic, most versatile widget. Here you select where you want the widget to be saved to. We'll select the current report, but you can save it to your own widget library if you'd like to use the same widget for multiple reports. Now click Save. For the table widget, you have all your settings here. Here you have the name. You can rename it if you'd like. And here you can select the max number of columns. Since the columns are in intervals of 12, if you need more than 12 columns, you can select that here. It goes in intervals of ×2, which would separate the columns into 24 intervals, 3 to 36, etc. The columns have to add up to 12 or the interval that you select for the max number of columns. And here you can select how many columns you want for your widget. Since this is going to be for a title, we'll select 1. And here we have the rows. You can have a nearly infinite number of rows, but remember, it has to fit onto one page, so you'll want to keep it at a reasonable number. For this report, we'll only need 1. Here you can select if you want to skip the rows if any merge fields are blank, if all merge fields are blank, or if you would like to always include the rows. This will make more sense shortly. We'll leave it to always include the rows. Here you have some of the text style options. This affects the overall report. You have options of body, which is standard text, H1 through H5 for bolded headers, and a selection of inverse text styles. Since this is for report title, we'll select H1. Alignment selects where you'd like the text. We'll select center middle. And row height gives you some more customization options. But for right now, we'll leave it at auto. Grid creates a line grid for all the columns and rows. And wrapping gives you the option to wrap the text, do not wrap the text, or truncate. And here you can select the border for the table. And here you can select how much padding you'd like in each cell. Again, the columns need to add up to 12. Since we selected one column and one row, we need to select 12 for the first column and 0 for the rest. Down here in the contents, you add either text or merge functions, which is code that allows you to automatically pull information from your ThinkWave account. There are sample merge functions located below here, with the basic commands here, the description, and here are the variables that you can modify the commands with. Additionally, there are some samples to get you started. We'll go more into how to use the merge function shortly. Now type the report title into the cell. For this, we'll call it Report Card. The drop-down menus on the right and at the bottom give the text formatting options that only apply to that row or column. These options will apply to everything in that row or column. Now click Save. Now that we have a widget, let's go back to the Layout Designer and add it to the cell. To preview this, a helpful tip when creating custom reports is to open a second tab and select Custom Report. That way you can go back and forth while creating the design of your report. Then select the student from the left and click Generate. And here you can see the title that we just created. Now let's go back and create some more content for the report. Go back to the other tab, and then hover here and select the Widget Designer. Then click Add Widget at the top left. Now we'll add some school info, like school name, address, phone number, etc. Name it School Info and make it a table. Then click Save. We can have the report pull all of this information automatically from the settings of the ThinkWave system using the merge functions. You can see the school info that you have in your system by going to the Settings tab and select School Name and Address. Make sure you have your info in here before we get started. Now let's go back to the widget. We only need one column and 4 rows will be fine. Now we'll use some merge functions. Scroll down here and we can find the merge function for school name. Highlight it and copy. Then scroll back up to the top and paste it into the first cell. Do the same for all the school information you want to have. You can customize the formatting further if you would like. Then click Save. Now let's create a print date for the report to display at the top. Add another table widget, call it Report Date. We only need one column and one row. Align it to the right. And scroll all the way down to the bottom and find User Date. Copy and paste the merge function. But now we have to customize it further. So go back down and look at the customization. For this, we'll select the Date Select. Copy it, making sure to get the colon in place. Then go back up to the cell and add it to the command line. You need to have a line separating the base command from the modifiers. It's also known as a pipe. Type it in after the base command and paste in the modifier. Now we have to tell it what the date is for. So we'll type in report date. Make sure you use an underscore instead of a space. There can't be any spaces in the merge functions. Now click Save. To complete the header, let's create a row widget. We'll call it a header row. A typical report will have numerous stacked widgets. This is great for complete customizability in building out a report. Like every other aspect of the reports, the rows will have to amount to 12. For the header, let's add the school info on the left, the report title in the middle, and the report date on the right. Then click Save. Since we plan to add more information, let's create a column widget to organize all of the data in the report. Call it Report Column and add header row at the top. Now let's go back to the Layout Designer and replace the Report Title widget with the newly created report column. Click Save and let's preview it. As you can see, there's now a place to add the report date. Select the student from the left and click Generate. And there's our header. Now let's start adding the rest of the information for our report. Create a new table widget, and this will be like the school info, except it will be for the student info. For the student address, there's multiple lines, but not all students have info in that area. So if you'd like to display the second address line for students that have it, but skip it for students that don't, select Skip Row if merge fields are blank. Now click Save. Now that we have a few widgets created and in use, you can see the widget library on the left. The widgets that are faded, like the new student info, are not currently assigned to anything. This is an easy way to make sure that all of your widgets are in use. Select the report column and add the student info underneath the report header. But first, let's add a space between the two. Now add a half space underneath the header, and let's also add a heavy horizontal rule. Click Save and check the preview. This looks pretty good, but maybe you'll want to highlight the student's name. Let's go back to that widget and add a little custom formatting. For the student name, select H3. That would be like bolding the standard body text. Now check the preview again. Now let's add some classes and grades. First, we'll want to create a header for the classes and the grades section. Create a table widget. Call it Grades Header. For this, we'll want to display the class, final grade, and the credits earned. So select 3 columns and 1 row. The class column will need more than 1 space than the grades and the credits. So let's select 8 for the first column and 2 for the other 2. Select H3 for the entire row. Make sure you select center alignment for the grades and the credits. And click Save. Now we'll be using the same alignment for the actual grades row. So to save you time, you go to the upper right and click Clone. This will copy the table widget, so we don't have to put in the same formatting. Rename it Grades Row and change the text format to Body. Now let's scroll down and select the right merge functions that we want to use for each section. Here's the class command. And here's the one for final grade. Now we'll want to select the term to display in the report. So we'll borrow the sample at the right and then modify it a little bit. There are some useful modifiers in here, like selecting the percent and the rounding options. First, we'll change the sample from term_2 to term_select. That way we can select whatever term we want for the report. If you want to display the grade as percent, you can keep the rest of the commands as is. Now do the same thing for the credits earned. and click Save. To display the grades for all the different classes, we're going to need to create a class cycler. You have sorting options here. If you want to customize the sorting, you can go to the Classes tab and add a custom field for report order. Then manually number each class and how you'd like them to appear in the report. Now back to the class cycler. There's also some filter options. We'll get more into these options in another video. In the meantime, add the Grades row widget here and select Save. Now go back to the Reports column and add the Grades header we created earlier and the class cycler below it. Then click Save. Now let's preview. Now going back to the Generate menu, you have a drop-down option to select the term for the report. Select the student and click Generate. This looks pretty good, but some of the classes in the system have skills, so let's add that to the report as well. Go back and create a new table widget for skills. Let's indent it slightly, so leave the first column blank, at 2. Then add the merge functions for skills in the column. And add the skill grade here. Make sure you add it as a term designator, then click Save. Now we'll have to add a skill cycler to display these. Create a skill cycler and add the newly created skill row. Now add that right to the class cycler. Now let's preview. Now let's add a section for comments. Add a new widget and call it Comments Row, and select Text. Now let's add a merge function for the comments. Under Final Comments, select the sample and change the term to match what we put in earlier to term_select. Now we'll want a little indent, so select -2 and add some padding to the left and select a half space for space after. Then click Save. Now if you want to add the comments just below the grades, we can add it directly to the class cycler just under the skill cycler. Or if you'd like the comments to stand out separately, you'll need to add another class cycler, but you'll also need to add a designated name for it. Either way, you'll need to have the comments block in a class cycler. For this, we'll just keep it in the same block as the grades and the skills. Now save and preview. This report is really starting to come together, but there's still a few little things missing. Like if we want this to be a progress report and send it out to parents, we'll need to change the title. And we'll need to designate the term for the report. So let's customize the title first. Let's go back to the first widget we created, the report title. Now scroll down to the bottom and find User Text. There's a modifier for the text select. Now add those and call it report_title. And now add another row. And for this, let's add a term merge function. Add the modifier for term select. And call it the same as in the other modifiers. Select Save and let's preview. Now there's a new text window for a report title in the Report Creation menu. Let's call it Progress Report. Select the student and generate. Now let's say you'd like to add some custom fields from the Students tab in the report. Like in this demo, we have birth date and citizenship. We can just add this directly to the Student Info widget. Go into the widget and add another column. Allow for some spacing on the right, and scroll down to the custom field student merge function. The sample command has an example for date of birth. That'll work for our first row. Then paste the merge function. Type in date of birth so it's clear what it is. Go down to the next row and type in citizenship, and paste in the same sample merge function. This time changing the date of birth for citizenship. Click Save and let's preview it. Now there's a drop-down menu for the custom fields. Match them up to the correct ones and select the student, then click Generate. Now it's really starting to look pretty good. Now let's add one last widget to the bottom of the report. We'll create a quick grade legend. Create a new text widget called Grade Legend. I found a quick way to get the text from the grading scale is to go to the Setup tab in the school's final grade scales, then copy and paste them into the text window. You'll likely have to clean it up a little bit, but it'll save you a lot of time in typing. Now we just have to add the grade legend at the top. And let's bold the title. In front of the title, type caret B, then another caret. And then after the title, type caret / B, then another caret. Now click Save. Add it to the bottom of the report column. Maybe add a few spaces to make it stand out. And let's preview it. Well, while it's not perfect, you can continue to tweak it until you get it to just the way that you would like it. There's a lot of things that you can add to the report, such as photos, attendance records, a signature line, etc. You can also further the look of the report at the Generate screen. Here you can adjust the scaling and the font. And that's the start on how to create a custom report card using the Custom Reports tool in the ThinkWave system. Thanks for watching.